Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Chelsea Dressing Room Debrief. And I'm going to cut straight to how bad yesterday was with a 2-2 draw against one of the worst sides in the Premier League, Ipswich, who have now taken 4 points out of 6 off of us. And we still think that this project is a good project that will take years to come to fruition. And I'm not sure it's good enough to do that. From top to bottom in the club, I think it's an absolute mess. I think that the owners don't have a clue, the sporting directors don't have a clue, and the manager doesn't have a clue. And people keep saying, "Oh, but this is on the players." Yeah, to a certain extent, it is because the players that we've got can't defend, can't score. You've got Jackson missing 5-yard sitters every game, and when Cole Palmer's not performing, it goes to shit. To be honest, because we rely so heavily on one player that the other players just don't do much. I don't really understand the manager's sort of tactics. He's starting a lineups, playing a centre back at right back, um, like he did against Brentford. Changed the whole team after the Tottenham win to facilitate and rest players for what Warsaw, and then he goes to Warsaw, does the same thing. We've got we had 7 games left before this in the league to get to Champions League football, and we're still resting players. What's that all about? Honestly, I just don't understand it now. I'm pretty much done with it. We're not going to get Champions League football now if you can't beat the likes of Ipswich. We haven't had an away league win for 4 months. Our home form's been just as abysmal since December, and it's just not good enough. The recruitment has been shocking. We're still recruiting 16-year-olds to sell on for assets. By the looks of it, we're being run as a business rather than a football club. The owners don't really care, by the sounds of it, about getting Chelsea back to where they were, because if they would, the sporting directors would have gone ages ago. The manager probably would have been gone because some of the stuff is not good enough. Coming out and challenging the fans game after game, when you've got to start looking at yourself and thinking you're not good enough. When he's blaming a poor second goal for the atmosphere changing. The atmosphere is changing because the fans have had enough. The fans have had enough of watching the same shit week in, week out. And it's like watching the same movie and expecting different results. It's literally no wonder they're restless and they're just sick and tired of it because they've seen it before. The same things are happening every week. And I've never seen so many Chelsea fans that have been going for like 30 plus years become so dissociated with the club to the point where they don't want to go anymore because it's just boring, it's dull, it's just horrendous. And it's not even the fact that the team aren't winning or losing. It's nothing to do with that. It's the product you're watching. Football is so bad at the moment. The Premier League, the standard of the Premier League in general has never been worse. And you can tell that by the fact that all the teams around Chelsea should not be with a chance of the Champions League after the stats I've just said. No chance. And yet there's still a glimmer of hope. And that just shows you how bad the other teams are. And all fair play to Forest, for example. They should not be anywhere near the Champions League with that team. But what they do is they play simple football and they don't follow this sort of brand just because there's so much pressure to play this sort of style of football where you got to pass out from the back, the keeper has to pass out. No, they just have a goalkeeper, they have a defence that just wants to defend. They have wingers that are proper wingers that want to go at go at defenders. And then they've got Chris Wood, who's just a standard striker in the middle who can score you your goal. It's really annoying me, all this like sort of inverted right back, inverted left back. Just let play football's just so overcomplicated now that it's just awful as a whole. And I just like the manager for me, he's lost. He keeps having to go at the fans, and he's not good enough anyway. What has he done to be a manager of Chelsea Football Club? He's another this sort of, oh, we all want to play like Pep Guardiola, but that football's gone. That football, you can see it with how bad Man City are now. That sort of style of play where you've got to keep possession, slow and lethargic and dull, and puts you to sleep every time we go to Stamford Bridge. It's going out of fashion, and yet we're still trying to follow that style of play. And yeah, the recruitment has just been abysmal. There are some the problem is I still think we're underperforming with that squad, and there are some world-class players in there, and even them, they're not performing to their best. And you got to look at the whole structure. It's just so bad. And in football now, defending isn't a thing anymore. You look at that goal, the first goal for Ipswich, where Enzo Fernandez has pinged the ball into midfield. It's got intercepted. Then the player just runs the ball for ages, and the striker ends up scoring the goal. Levi Colwill is on him, and then you think just follow him backwards. He doesn't. The ball's out wide with the man. Cucurella has got to try and stop that cross. You've let him go out wide. You've got to throw your body to stop that cross coming in. And then the two centre halves, the striker is going in between him, and not once as one of them defenders, they're just ball watching, especially Colwell, look to see where the striker he was marking a minute ago has gone. And when that ball comes across, why aren't defenders throwing their body out to stop the ball from getting to that striker? There should be a slide tackle or something to try and block that ball from either Cucurella stopping the cross or Colwell intercepting it, and then toasting behind Colwell with the player in front of him. That's the danger. You've got to go and squeeze him and try and make it uncomfortable for the striker to finish, and he hasn't. And no one can defend anymore. And some of the goals that are being conceded are so bad these days from basic defending. And when people are saying you can't look at the manager as well, when I just go back to that team selection, that goalkeeper Sanchez is nowhere near good enough to play for Chelsea Football Club. He was the third choice at Brighton. He's made errors. He's one of the keepers in the league that made the most errors. And he just can't pass the ball, even though his distribution is meant to be one of his best things. You look at that goal where he chipped it straight to an Ipswich player, and you just look at that stuff and you're like, who's picking him? After all these mistakes that have cost Chelsea, it's the manager that's picking him, no one else. And I just think Maresca, throughout the season, has just come out in his post-match press conferences, in his interviews, and just contradicted himself, saying that the aim wasn't to get top four, and then the fans had a backlash. So he said it was to get top four. Then he come out and said Jorgensen's is Sanchez is number one. Then put Jorgensen in, said Jorgensen's our number one now, and then flipped it back and put Sanchez in at the earliest opportunity, when the heat had sort of subsided from Sanchez, and it's just now it's just saying blaming a goal on the sun, blaming a performance against Brentford on the sun. Then he's coming out and saying one of the goals was the fans' fault because the atmosphere turned a bit sour. It's just full of shit, absolute full of shit. Like none of that is. It's just poor from the team, poor from the manager, and even if he is reflecting, it's just you never ever call out your own fans unless you've got a bit of weight behind you, like Mourinho did when he had a go at the Chelsea fans. But he's won Champions League, he's won Premier League, he's got the right to do it. And one of the reasons why the atmosphere is so bad is, like I said, because fans are just dissociating from the club now. They don't feel a connection anymore because of how it's going, so they're not going. And then you've got people like day trippers and people like that coming in that they're just there just to see a spectacle, which by the way is probably the worst spectacle they can come to based on how that football's being played at Stamford Bridge. And we're surprised that the atmosphere is getting worse. For me, it all stems from the type of football that the team are playing and the manager and the characters you've got in the ground. That's what gets the fans on side. That's what gets the fans engaged. And no wonder the support is so bad. And I just want to touch upon a fact that Gary Neville said on his Overlap podcast is that football now is Premier League is losing its spark because there was a stat that in the last few seasons, 4 out of 5 the players with the most touches have been defenders or goalkeepers, and that says all you need to know for me. Champions League's gone. We're going to win the Tin Pot Conference League, and then the Chelsea PR will probably try and say that's a successful season. When in my book, we've never been worse.